What if everything you thought about humanity was a lie? What if humans were not the inevitable pinnacle of evolution, not a necessary product of Earth's history, but an anomaly, a mistake in the grand blueprint of life? Imagine a planet where the story of life unfolded entirely differently, a world where creatures far older, far stranger, far more magnificent than us claimed dominion, and we never appeared at all. For billions of years, life on Earth followed a rhythm older than memory. Microbes carved oceans and atmosphere. Colossal predators dominated land and sky. Dinosaurs ruled for hundreds of millions of years, an empire of scales, wings, and teeth. Mammals lurked in the shadows, small and cautious, waiting. Then a cosmic roll of the dice, the asteroid, the fire, the chaos, wiped the old rulers from the stage. And in their absence, humans emerged. But consider this, what if that asteroid had missed? What if the meteors, the climate shifts, the subtle nudges of evolution had never aligned for us? In this alternate reality, Earth is not a stage for Homo sapiens. It is a theater of unimaginable beings, some still wandering the land, some buried in the depths of oceans. Predators bigger than cities, intelligent creatures who never retreated into caves, who never tamed fire, but instead ruled with sheer instinct, unmatched strength, and unparalleled senses. A world without humans is not silent. It is a cacophony of nature's grandeur, a symphony of survival and dominance on a scale we cannot comprehend. The first question we must ask is, why humans at all? Our entire understanding of evolution is like reading a book with missing chapters. We see the fossils, the bones, the traces of the past, and we assume they lead inevitably to us. But what if they don't? What if humans are a deviation, an evolutionary accident born of chance rather than necessity? Our brains, our hands, our languages, they are remarkable, but they are not the destiny of life. They are one possible outcome, fragile and improbable. Without humans, the Earth would tell a different story. Forests would grow taller, unchecked by agriculture. Rivers would carve deeper valleys, unblocked by dams or cities. Apex predators would reclaim dominion over landscapes now tamed by concrete and steel. Imagine forests where mammoths still roam, herds of colossal herbivores shaping the land like living bulldozers. Imagine skies filled with flying reptiles, wingspans larger than airplanes, gliding above oceans that teem with leviathans beyond our imagination. Even intelligence might have taken a different path. Octopuses, dolphins, or even corvids, crows and ravens might have evolved to surpass us. A world without humans could have been ruled by beings who communicate in colors, vibrations, or sonar, who build civilizations we cannot see, whose understanding of reality is beyond our sensory perception. A planet rich with wisdom, but foreign, alien in its logic and design. But there is another side to this thought experiment. Extinction is a natural force. Life does not need humans. The world before humans lasted billions of years, and it could continue without us. In fact, Earth might flourish more brilliantly, more resiliently without the ecological upheaval humans brought. Ice ages would continue, volcanoes would shape continents, and the oceans would swell with creatures unthreatened by fishing fleets or pollution. The age of humans, in this context, is just a brief, tumultuous blink in Earth's timeline. Consider the insects. In a world without humans, insects might have expanded into niches we can hardly imagine. Some could evolve into massive aerial predators, others into subterranean engineers, carving tunnels that rival the size of our skyscrapers. Imagine beetles larger than bears, and without us, it is possible that ancient giants, like the prehistoric sharks that dwarfed the great white, would still swim in the deep. Creatures like the mosasaur or the leviathan whales might dominate the seas, apex predators without competition from humans. Entire civilizations of intelligent sea life, communicating through currents and echoes, could exist in the depths, shaping their world in ways we can only imagine. Even the skies would tell a different tale. birds of prey would reach sizes that defy our laws of flight, rivaling early pterosaurs. Giant insects could patrol the atmosphere, flying reptiles might reign supreme, nesting in mountain peaks humans never conquered. Weather itself might evolve differently, shaped by the movements and migrations of these titanic creatures rather than human intervention. Now, imagine evolution itself as a river. Humans are only one branch, a tiny offshoot. In a world without us, other branches grow stronger, more dominant. Predatory mammals like saber-toothed cats might have evolved greater intelligence. Elephants could develop technologies, social structures, or even language. Every species is a potential what-if, a spark of consciousness waiting for the right circumstances. Humans are not inevitable, they are a rare fluke. But what about morality, culture, philosophy? Would they exist without us? Perhaps not in our sense, but other species might develop their own forms of meaning. Communication might not rely on words, but on color, scent, or pattern. Societies might be structured not around hierarchy and war, but around survival, art, and collective memory. A world without humans is not primitive, it is differently advanced beyond our imagination. And then there is the question of time. Humans perceive time linearly, as a chain of events culminating in our existence. But in a world where humans never emerged, time is circular, recursive, a vast loop of life and death, growth and decay. Civilizations rise, not as monuments of stone and steel, but as living networks of trees, fungi, and animals. The earth breathes in rhythms we cannot feel, pulses in ways we cannot measure. Some might argue that without humans, the universe itself would remain indifferent. But look closer. Life is not about observation, it is about potential. Every organism is an experiment in adaptation, every predator and prey a narrative of survival. In a world without humans, these stories unfold, uninterrupted by our greed, our curiosity, or our mistakes. The story of life is not less without humans. It is wilder, more dangerous, more awe-inspiring. Even diseases, bacteria, viruses, they would follow their own paths. Epidemics might rage, shaping species in ways that feel cruel to us, but are simply the mechanics of life. Evolution does not require morality. It does not require humans. Every organism, every mutation, every extinction event shapes the world into something beyond our understanding, a complex system in perpetual motion. And what of intelligence itself? If humans never existed, intelligence might not manifest as tool use or language, but in ways we cannot comprehend. Perhaps in massive brain networks within oceanic creatures, or in symbiotic colonies of insects, or even in plant life capable of communication through chemical signals over miles. Intelligence is not human. It is the capacity to adapt, to manipulate, to understand, forms that might be entirely alien to us. Without humans, the world would have evolved in ways that defy imagination. Mountains would still be carved by glaciers, rivers would weave uninterrupted through vast forests, and plains would ripple with the movement of enormous herds. Apex predators would rule unchallenged. Imagine a tiger larger than a lion, but smarter than any predator we have ever known, coordinating hunts with the precision of a human general, yet moving with the silent grace of a ghost. Its roar would echo through valleys untouched by human construction, a declaration of absolute dominance. But predators are only part of the story. Intelligence, without our biases, might have followed paths we cannot recognize. Dolphins could have created sprawling societies beneath the waves, intricate networks of communication using sonar patterns we can't even hear. Entire oceanic civilizations could exist, structures built from coral, stone, and shells, adapted to currents and tides. Insects might dominate land in unexpected ways, ant civilizations rivaling human cities in complexity, with tunnels stretching for kilometers, chambers designed to store food, water, and even libraries of pheromonal memory. Forests untouched by humans would be towering monuments to life's resilience. Trees might grow to heights never achieved under human interference, their canopies forming entire worlds above the forest floor. Predatory birds could patrol these aerial cities, their wings cutting the sky like knives. Vines and roots would twist into natural fortresses, creating ecosystems where life thrives in endless competition, but without the destabilizing touch of humankind. Yet this world without humans would not be static. Evolution is relentless. Creatures would evolve forms that are both terrifying and magnificent. Imagine mammalian predators developing prehensile tails and dexterous paws capable of manipulating objects, or cephalopods expanding intelligence to the point of creating rudimentary tools from stones and shells. Perhaps flight would not be limited to birds or insects. Imagine gliding mammals evolving wingspans that challenge pterosaurs of the past. Each adaptation would tell a story of survival, a narrative of creativity written by nature alone. Now consider the concept of morality and conflict. Humans often assume morality is a unique trait, a mark of our intelligence. But in a world without humans, morality might take entirely different forms. Some species could develop codes of cooperation, rituals that ensure survival, or even primitive forms of justice to maintain balance in their societies. Predation itself would be a moral act, a necessary function of ecological equilibrium rather than an ethical transgression. Life would continue according to principles we cannot fully understand, an alien morality sculpted by survival. Even in the sky, life would have reached unimaginable heights. Predatory flying reptiles might rule air currents like lords, nesting on cliffs unreachable by any ground predator. Their hunting patterns could rival the most sophisticated human strategies, coordinated through instinctual intelligence and sensory perception beyond our capacity. Birds of prey might evolve to sizes that defy gravity, their talons capable of seizing large mammals, their intelligence approaching what we consider human-level cunning. And the oceans would be a world unto themselves. Prehistoric leviathans might dominate every level of the water column. Apex predators could hunt in packs, demonstrating strategies as complex as human military tactics, yet entirely natural. Intelligent cephalopods might rise as the architects of their own underwater empires, capable of manipulating tools, constructing shelters, and communicating over vast distances through color, texture, and bioluminescence. Entire ecosystems would evolve without human interference, perfect in their complexity, terrifying in their efficiency. Without humans, diseases would play a different role in evolution. Epidemics would sweep across populations, shaping life through natural selection rather than human medicine or urbanization. Species would rise and fall, adapt and vanish, creating an ongoing narrative of survival that requires no audience, no witness, no intervention. Life would continue in raw, unfiltered complexity, a perpetual dance of extinction and adaptation that dwarfs any human story. Even technology, if it arose, would be unrecognizable. Perhaps intelligent octopuses might develop tools from coral or stone, constructing underwater fortresses. Perhaps ants might build towering structures from soil and resin, communicating complex knowledge through pheromones. The idea of civilization would not be human, it would be a natural manifestation of intelligence in forms we can't even perceive. The very concept of progress would be alien, a timeline not measured in years or centuries, but in generations of evolution. Cosmically, the universe itself would perceive life differently. Without humans, Earth might remain a blue jewel of biodiversity, a world thriving with creatures beyond imagination, evolving in patterns unshaped by our curiosity or destruction.
The solar system would continue its quiet orbit, indifferent yet carrying a planet teeming with life forms that rival the richness of our dreams. The Earth could evolve creatures capable of interstellar awareness, of observing the cosmos not with telescopes, but with senses attuned to electromagnetic fields, gravity waves, or other phenomena we can't even detect. Yet, in this alternate reality, there would be no history books, no monuments, no art as humans define it. Memory would exist in forms alien to us: chemical trails in soil, songs in the wind, patterns in the migration of herds. Life would be its own storyteller, writing narratives of survival and adaptation that we can only imagine. Every river carved, every mountain shaped, every predator hunt, every survival of the fittest would be part of an epic we are incapable of reading. Even the most fundamental human concepts, war, love, ambition, might manifest differently. Social structures would be dictated not by ideology but by survival, reproductive success, and environmental pressures. Partnerships might exist in ways unimaginable. Symbiosis, mutualism, and cooperative intelligence could replace our notion of family, society, and community. The Earth itself would be alive with intelligence, a planet vibrating with connections we cannot perceive. And yet, in all this grandeur, there is a strange beauty. A world without humans is wild, untamed, and free. It is a world that does not bend to curiosity, greed, or technology. It is a planet where life exists for itself, not for observation or manipulation. Every predator and prey, every tree and river, every ocean current and storm becomes part of a living tapestry that stretches across eons untouched by human hands. If humans were never meant to exist, perhaps the Earth would have been a paradise of unending evolution, a stage where life constantly experiments with form, function, and intelligence. Perhaps the universe would have witnessed beings more magnificent, more resilient, more harmonious than we could ever imagine. And yet, in our own reality, we exist, fragile, fleeting, and anomalous, a brief spark in a timeline billions of years long. But the question remains, are we truly the inevitable apex, or are we simply the cosmic fluke that happened to survive?
In a world where humans never existed, intelligence itself would have taken unimaginable forms. Imagine cephalopods, the masters of camouflage and problem-solving, developing the dexterity and tools necessary to manipulate their environment. Entire underwater cities could rise, built from coral, shells, and rock, pulsing with bioluminescent light as if the ocean itself had learned to breathe knowledge. They would not need words as we understand them. Communication could happen through color, movement, and chemical signals, a language richer and more fluid than any human tongue. On land, mammals might have followed similar paths. Elephants, already capable of empathy and long-term memory, could have become architects of forests, shaping landscapes with their movements and decisions. Imagine herds creating corridors for migration that also serve as natural irrigation systems, crafting environments in which countless other species flourish. Predators like wolves, big cats, or saber-toothed felines might develop strategic hunting intelligence rivaling our own, coordinating in ways that mirror human military tactics, but entirely instinctual, honed over millennia of survival rather than formal education. And then there are insects, creatures we often overlook. Without humans, ants could rise as architects of towering subterranean empires. Honeybees might construct hives rivaling cities in complexity, and swarms of flying insects could dominate the skies in orchestrated movements that surpass anything we have engineered. Evolution would take freedom without restraint, producing organisms that defy our physical and mental expectations, a world alive with extraordinary innovation. Without humans, the concept of civilization itself would be redefined.
There might not be buildings or roads, but nature itself could become a canvas for intelligence. Trees could be woven into bridges spanning rivers, vines might serve as communication networks, and animal societies could develop customs, rituals, and hierarchies as sophisticated as anything we know. Knowledge would persist, but not in books. It would be written into the living landscape, the growth of trees, the patterns of migration, the construction of nests, burrows, and dens. Life would record its own story without ever needing witnesses. Even the skies would teem with possibility. Birds might evolve extraordinary intelligence, their songs encoding vast amounts of information, their flight paths forming patterns as intricate as computer networks. Predatory flying reptiles, descendants of ancient pterosaurs, could dominate the air, coordinating hunts and migrations in ways we could barely comprehend. Imagine a world where creatures patrol the skies with the same strategic foresight as a human general, yet their tools are instinct, wings, and vision far beyond our own. Cosmically, the absence of humans would ripple far beyond Earth. Without our curiosity and interference, the planet's trajectory might be entirely different. Glaciers would carve deeper valleys, oceans would rise and fall according to natural cycles, and forests and plains would shift according to their own rhythms. Life would evolve uninterrupted, guided solely by environmental pressures and genetic experimentation. Earth would remain a living laboratory of boundless creativity, an ecosystem where every mutation has a chance to flourish or perish, shaping life into forms we cannot even begin to imagine. And yet, this world would not be without struggle. Life is rarely peaceful, even without humans. Predation, competition, disease, and disaster would shape every species. But these forces would be part of a natural balance, not amplified by our technological meddling or overconsumption. Life would evolve in a rhythm we might call perfection, a harmony of chaos, destruction, and creation, where every predator, prey, and plant has a role to play. Philosophically, a world without humans challenges our sense of purpose. We often assume the universe revolves around us, that intelligence and awareness are the keys to meaning. But in this alternate reality, the universe is indifferent, yet abundant with life. Intelligence is not unique to humans. It is a phenomenon that arises wherever conditions allow. The question is not whether life is meaningful, but whether life can exist at all, and in a world without humans, the answer is a resounding yes. And then there is the question of observation. Without humans, there is no one to witness the majesty of evolution, the rise and fall of species, the construction of natural empires across land, sea, and sky. But perhaps observation is not necessary. Life does not require an audience. Every migration, every hunt, every act of survival is a story in itself, unfolding perfectly without being recorded, celebrated, or remembered. The narrative belongs to life itself, not to the creatures that create it. Consider the oceans once more. Without humans, the deep sea could host civilizations beyond our comprehension. Giant squids might develop intelligence rivaling our own, building complex structures out of coral, stone, and scavenged materials. Their communication could extend for kilometers through bioluminescent flashes and pressure waves, a network of knowledge that allows them to survive and thrive in a world we scarcely understand. Predatory fish might coordinate in ways that resemble urban planning, moving entire schools of smaller fish as if they were inhabitants of a living city. Even extinction itself would tell a different story. Without humans, species would disappear according to the natural laws of evolution, creating space for others to thrive. Entire lineages might evolve into forms that challenge our understanding of biology. Mammals could dominate niches we have never imagined. Reptiles might reclaim their ancient supremacy. Birds, insects, and marine life would shape ecosystems in ways that are both terrifying and beautiful. Earth would be a planet of endless possibilities. And yet, humans exist, fragile, ephemeral, and anomalous, a cosmic accident, a spark that appeared for reasons we may never fully understand. But the thought experiment remains. If we had never emerged, Earth would not be empty, it would be alive with creatures of unimaginable complexity, intelligence, and power. Life would continue in all its brutality, beauty, and intricacy, a story written without humans as both authors and protagonists. In the end, the absence of humans does not mean absence of wonder. A world without us is not lifeless. It is a symphony of survival, an orchestra of evolution playing notes we cannot hear. Predators, prey, intelligent creatures, and sprawling ecosystems all would tell a story far greater than any we could imagine. Life would endure, thrive, and transform in ways that challenge our imagination, reminding us that humanity is not the purpose of the universe. It is only one chapter, one experiment, one unlikely outcome in the boundless creativity of life itself.
As we reach the edge of this thought experiment, the picture of a world without humans becomes breathtakingly clear. Imagine standing on a cliff that overlooks a valley untouched by human hands. The air vibrates with the calls of creatures we have never seen, their movements orchestrated in perfect rhythm, their lives following a pulse billions of years in the making. Rivers carve the earth with patience far beyond human comprehension. Trees tower higher than any building we have ever constructed, their roots twisting like natural cathedrals, their leaves forming canopies that stretch for miles. Below, a herd of colossal herbivores moves in slow, synchronized patterns. Their footsteps create ripples in the soil, shaping entire ecosystems without realizing it. Predators stalk from the shadows, tigers the size of trucks, wolves whose strategy could rival human generals, massive birds of prey coordinating from above. Every organism is an actor in a narrative that needs no narrator. Life itself is the storyteller. Imagine the oceans, untouched by fishing or pollution, vast and endless. Leviathans, creatures that defy imagination, patrol the depths. Enormous squid-like beings twist through sunless waters, their intelligence evident in the patterns they create, the way they manipulate their environment. Shoals of fish move in intricate, synchronized dances, communicating through waves of color and movement. Entire civilizations of cephalopods and marine mammals might exist in secret, their cities hidden in the deep, their histories written in currents and coral formations. Even the skies belong to beings we cannot comprehend. Enormous pterosaurs, descendants of ancient flying reptiles, soar above clouds, hunting and navigating with precision and instinct that surpasses any human technology. Birds with wingspans rivaling our imagination patrol forests, delivering messages through song patterns that encode knowledge, warning their communities, celebrating life, remembering survival strategies passed through generations. The skies are alive, not empty, and every gust of wind carries intelligence, communication, and purpose. Without humans, life itself becomes a cathedral. Mountains, rivers, forests, and oceans are not resources to be exploited. They are living sculptures, constantly reshaped by the creatures that inhabit them. Evolution is not a linear story leading to one species. It is a branching, twisting, chaotic masterpiece where intelligence can rise in forms we may never recognize, where survival drives innovation, art, and complexity in ways that are both alien and beautiful. And yet, absence does not mean simplicity. Without humans, life would be raw, brutal, and magnificent. Extinctions, disease, and predation would occur, but they would be part of a natural harmony rather than a disruption. Ecosystems would balance themselves in ways we cannot predict. Giant predators would reign, but only as much as the environment allows.
Intelligence would rise, fall, and evolve again, continuously experimenting with survival, adaptation, and creation. The story of life would be endless, self-sustaining, and awe-inspiring. Philosophically, this raises profound questions. Are humans necessary for meaning? Is intelligence meant to dominate, or merely to exist? In a world without us, life thrives, evolves, and becomes more magnificent than we could ever conceive. The universe does not require humans to be beautiful, to be intelligent, or to be extraordinary. It is the raw, untamed power of existence itself that shapes reality. Perhaps in this alternate history, life is not a story of humans at all. It is a story of potential realized in countless other forms, a story without boundaries, without limitations, without anthropocentric bias. The beauty of this vision is both terrifying and liberating. Terrifying because it reminds us that humans are not inevitable. Our intelligence, our culture, our civilization, they are fragile, fleeting sparks in the vast cosmic experiment of life. But liberating because it reminds us that life is not about humans. Life is infinite in its creativity. It thrives, evolves, and adapts, and it will continue, long after we are gone, in forms we cannot imagine, under skies and oceans that we cannot fully perceive. If humans were never meant to exist, the Earth would still be magnificent. Forests taller than skyscrapers, predators faster and stronger than any human could hope to be, oceans home to creatures beyond comprehension, skies dominated by flying titans. Life would continue to experiment with form, intelligence, and strategy, constantly evolving in new, unimaginable directions. Every heartbeat, every migration, every predator's strike, every herbivore's survival would be part of a story as old as time itself. And yet, here we are, a brief spark in a timeline billions of years long, fragile, fleeting, anomalous, but capable of wonder, creativity, and imagination. Perhaps that is the lesson. Humans are not the inevitable apex, but they are observers, thinkers, and storytellers. We exist to witness the extraordinary complexity of life and to reflect upon it. And in imagining worlds where we never existed, we glimpse the boundless possibilities of life itself and the infinite ways evolution can surprise us. So close your eyes and imagine this world, a planet of intelligence without humans, a stage of predators, giants, and beings whose brilliance surpasses our own. A planet alive with beauty, danger, and awe, telling its story in rivers, forests, oceans, and skies. A planet where life thrives not for humans, but for life itself. And as you open your eyes, consider this. Humanity is a rare and fragile anomaly, a brief experiment in the vast laboratory of evolution. But even in our brief existence, we carry the privilege of imagination, of wonder, and of curiosity. We can peer into the depths of time, ask what if, and explore realities that will never exist except in our minds. The world without humans is not a dystopia, it is a symphony of life unbound, a vision of existence in its rawest, most magnificent form, and by imagining it, we begin to understand the extraordinary beauty of the world we do inhabit, and the vast possibilities that nature holds, far beyond the scope of our understanding. Life does not require humans to be extraordinary. Intelligence does not require humans to be supreme. The Earth does not require humans to be magnificent, and in that realization we find both humility and awe, a reminder that the universe is far greater than our fleeting presence, and far more creative than our imagination can ever hope to contain.